Analysis and reflection of the most important geopolitical and historical facts from the 19th to 20th century. Geopolitics is a science that deals with the study of spatial causality of the political events and the upcoming or future effects thereof. It is especially noticed by other disciplines such as history, geography, and politics descriptive geography. Historical events of the 19th century. The First Industrial Revolution. England 1750 to 1850, characterized by the mechanization of industry and agriculture, the application of the driving force in the industry, the development of the factory system, the acceleration of transport and communications, the significant increase of capitalist rule in all economic activity. With the birth of the media, such as rail develops, architecture and cultural factors are strange and are needed museums and libraries. The Second Industrial Revolution. Between 1850 and 1970, Germany and the US are industrial powers. The technologies of the First Industrial Revolution were perfect. Change energy sources. There are born new forms of capitalist organization with imperialism. Artistic expression was benefit with the freedom of establishment and the use of new materials boom or architecture and sculpture. Financial capitalism. The growth of the industry comes from the purchase of shares and the concentration of companies and capital, converting to joint stock companies. Birth of monopoly. Financial capitalism is composed of industrial capital and bank capital. The imperialist phenomenon and power coincide with the systemic crisis of 1873. Export capital as loans to governments or styling factories abroad. Thus, the accumulation of capital within borders is avoided. Bourgeoisie and politics. Industrialization and liberal revolutions gave it the economic and political support to the bourgeoisie that held ownership of the means of production, money, capital, raw materials, factories, urban real estate, land, etc. Far from the proletariat, the art of the bourgeois society was represented by the subjectivity of the painters of the time of Van Gogh, Cézanne, Toulouse-Lautrec, Gauguin, Picasso, Kandinsky, and Mondrian. Colonial division. In the late 19th century, all the great powers began imperialist expansion, achieving control of America, most of the Pacific Island, most of Asia and Africa, and from 1919, the entire Middle East. Colonial countries were mainly of the Atlantic, England, France, and Netherlands. Next is Germany, Italy, and Belgium are eventually the United States and Japan. This expansion led to the First World War that changed Western civilization. The US assumed world dominance, and the concept of democracy was estranged, and born a new political model in general. The arts of the 19th century were architecture, music, literature, and painting were developed, which went through phases of the Romanticism, sentimentality, Impressionism, and rationality. Geopolitical and historical events of the 20th century. The change in the leadership of the British Empire to the hegemony of the United States, who reorganized the international order of the Cold War, which collapses with the fall of the Berlin Wall. United States changed the global geopolitical structure to establish a unique world. In the 40s, a new protagonist, the USSR, and from that moment comes the world becomes too bipolar. Any problem could be solved without their positions. From a USA and USSR bipolar world, it was transferred to a unique world again. In 1989, a Gorbachev-Bush presidents end the Cold War. Globalization, geo and international economic organization among countries, and were intensive leftist revolutionary movements. It was called the socialism. Through military actions, in some cases ended by other dictatorships. The geostrategy was unique, implemented by the USA, new international order in Bretton Woods, the end of the Cold War, the Internet, disappearance of the socialist system in Eastern Europe and the USSR dissolution, giving rise to a new stage. The First World War. The associated conflict struggled for hegemony in Europe, the struggle for a new world order, and the political role of the European powers in them, as the collapse of the three great empires of Central and Eastern Europe as the Middle East. These conflicts also played a role in various forms in 1939 and 1989. The Second World War, unleashed by Germany and Japan to establish military control over the countries of the Axis alliance due to dissatisfaction with the world order after the First War. It was the most disastrous armed conflict in history. Many countries lost their territory and their economic, political, social, infrastructure, and communications. Losses were incalculable. The Cold War, which organized the post-war because of strained relations over 4 decades between the United States and the Soviet Union, ended with the collapse of communism. The 20th century art is strongly influenced by the social politics of the moment. It is an art that does not escape reality, doing catharsis after the enlightenment, reason and science they went into crisis. The two world wars marked a tense and unstable, full of horror and destruction climate. The European crisis and the crisis of the US stock market in 1930 impacted society by creating artistic protest movements. It is a time of rapid changes, where scientific and technological projects advances as the car leaves the airplane, the television, the first man on the moon, etc. All this causes a great impact on society, and artistic movements such as Futurism arise. We can distinguish two major movements in the 20th century, vanguards and the postmodern art. The Industrial Revolution influenced art and culture, evidenced by the Impressionism movement in painting and its coexistence with the art of photography. The 20th century was marked by two world wars, by the worst dictatorships in history, by the tremendous economic depression, a division of the world between competing systems, capitalism and socialism, and between development and underdevelopment. But it was also the century of the spread of democracy, the conquest of civil and political rights of men and women, the creation of mass society, the revolution in the media, in popular music and fashion, and the emergence of the ecological and pacifist movements. All these facts have been accompanied and have been potentiated by a deep transformation between science, art, and culture, for a revolution that has changed our lives and our perception of the world.